Ain't no way. Ain't no way in this whole wide world, y'all. Baby, the 10 is on fire again, and this time somebody done poured the whole entire gas can right on top of the flames and lit a match for good measure. I sat down at my little kitchen table this morning, sipped my coffee, opened my phone, scrolled 2 inches, and I swear to you on everything I love, I nearly choked on the steam coming off my mug. Because what Chrisean Rock did last night on that live stream, and what Blueface pulled out of Jaidyn Alexis's phone about 4 hours later, is the kind of chaos that only ever happens inside this circus. Nowhere else. Not in Hollywood. Not in the WWE. Not in a bad reality show script that got rejected by 3 different networks. Only here. Only in this particular universe. Only in the Blueface universe, where every day is a new episode and every episode is somehow worse than the last one. And I know y'all been waiting for me. I know y'all been refreshing that homepage like, where is she? Where is she? Where did our girl go? I had to step back for a couple of days because life has been lifing on me hard, honey. Hard. But I am here now, I am plugged all the way back in, and sit back, get your snack, get your drink, put the baby down in the crib, put the dog on the couch, because we got a lot of ground to cover tonight, and every single square inch of it is on fire. Every inch. Not one patch of grass survived this news cycle. Welcome back to the family. It's your girl. And this channel, this little corner of the internet we're building together, is being built brick by brick, view by view, comment by comment, to hold my daughter down while she chases that college degree 3 states away. So every like, every subscribe, every comment, every share you drop, that is you reaching across the country and helping me hold her hand from a distance. Y'all been showing up in a real way lately, and I feel it in my chest. I love it. I love you for it. Don't stop now. Tap that little red subscribe button before we go one more word deeper into this mess, because what I am about to walk you through is going to keep you glued to your screen. Glued. You're not going anywhere for the next 15 minutes, and I am not sorry about that. Now hear me clear before I say anything else. Everything I am about to lay out is rumor mill, folks. Alleged. Whispered. Screenshotted. Rewound. Slowed down. Nothing here is a court verdict. Nothing here is a police report. Nothing here is a sworn affidavit. This is entertainment. This is the auntie giving you tea over the fence while the collard greens simmer on the stove. That is the disclaimer. That is the shield. Now that we're fully covered on all sides, let's ride. I want to start with Chrisean Rock. Because Chrisean Rock has entered a chapter of her story that even the most loyal, ride-or-die defender cannot explain away anymore. And I've watched them try. I've watched them try in my own comments section. I've watched them try on Twitter. I've watched them try on TikTok. And every single defense collapses the second Chrisean Rock opens her mouth again and does something else nobody saw coming. There has been a whisper floating around for months now, and the whisper says that Chrisean Rock spent time inside a facility in the state of Maryland called Sheppard Pratt. Sheppard Pratt. Look it up if you don't know what it is. That is not a spa. That is not a retreat. That is not a wellness resort. That is a psychiatric facility with a very specific reputation, and every time somebody tries to bring that whisper into the light, somebody in her camp swats it back down into the shadow. But you know what? The shadow ain't holding it no more. The shadow got tired. The shadow said, I quit. I'm out. Because the way Chrisean Rock is behaving on the internet right now, in real time, in front of God and everybody, is telling on itself. Chrisean Rock is talking to people who are not in the room. Chrisean Rock is announcing events that were never planned. Chrisean Rock is holding entire full conversations with characters that only exist in her imagination. And I am not being cruel when I say this. I am not being messy. I am not being petty. I am being scared for her. I am being scared for Chrisean Jr. I am being scared for that little baby who did not sign up to grow up inside the middle of a circus tent while the animals run loose and the ringmaster is nowhere to be found. Watch this part. Watch this part real close. A few nights ago, our girl hopped on a live stream with a reporter over at Blue Rock TV. Blue Rock TV, for the ones who don't know, is basically the last person on the internet who still gives Chrisean Rock a friendly microphone. Everybody else has pulled back. Everybody else is watching from the bleachers. but Blue Rock is still down there in the sand with her. And Blue Rock's reporter asked her a very, very simple question, a softball question, an easy question, the kind of question you throw underhand. You got any birthday plans for Chrisean Jr. coming up? And Chrisean Rock said, and I quote her verbatim, "Me and his father are throwing a big party." Excuse me? I need everybody in the back of the class to lean in. Say that again for me? Me and his father? Because last I checked, and I check daily, Blueface, the alleged father, the man whose alleged bloodline allegedly runs through that baby, Blueface do not even know he is throwing this party. Blueface do not know a single solitary thing about a party. Blueface do not know a cake was ordered. Blueface do not know a balloon was purchased. Blueface do not know a candle was lit. Blueface do not know a plate of chicken wings was prepared. Because Chrisean Rock invented the entire event, from top to bottom, from the invitation to the goodie bags, inside of her own head, and then she put his name on the flyer without ever asking his permission. And listen, I already know somebody in the comments is going to say, "Kiki, you being messy. That's her baby daddy. Of course, she can invite him." No, ma'am. No, sir. No. Because on that very same day Chrisean Rock announced this fictional co-parenting extravaganza, Blueface got on his own stream. Because that man lives on the internet the way normal folks live in their kitchen, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And his chat asked him, "Hey Blue, are you planning a birthday party with her?" And his face went blank. Totally, completely, cold, empty, flat, drained of all information. And he said, and I quote him back verbatim, "I don't know what she's talking about. I don't think she'd even want me there. The last thing she told me was that she was going to call the police on me." Baby. Baby, 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 baby. He does not know. He genuinely, truly, from the bottom of his heart, does not know. There is no party. There is no co-parent plan. There is no shared calendar invite. There is only her, sitting alone in a room somewhere in Los Angeles or Baltimore or wherever the wind blew her this week, building a fantasy out of pixels and hope and a whole lot of denial. And it would be sad. It would be tragic. It would break my heart clean in half and glue it back together crooked. If it stopped there. If Chrisean Rock had said her little lie, taken her little L, and walked off the internet for the rest of the week. But it did not stop there. Oh, honey, it did not stop there. Because Chrisean Rock got back on live a couple hours later, still in the same outfit, still in the same lighting, and started faking phone calls. Faking. Phone. Calls. On camera. In front of a live audience of tens of thousands of witnesses who were all recording their screens in real time. She lifted up her phone, pretended somebody was calling her, and started acting like she was having a whole entire conversation with a person on the other end of the line. Hello? Hey. Uh-huh. Yeah. Nodding. Laughing. Half turning her body away from the camera for that extra layer of authenticity. Full theater. Full performance. Full commitment to the bit. Except, and here is where the universe decided to have itself a good laugh at Chrisean Rock's expense. While she was pretending to be on a phone call, her actual phone actually rang. For real. In the middle of the fake call. In the middle of the performance. Y'all. 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 The universe said, "Oh, so you want to play pretend tonight? Let me embarrass you in real time. Let me expose you in front of every single person watching. Let me let this ringtone cut right through your little theater production and out you as the fabricator you are." And her face, I promise you I will never in my entire life forget the face she made in that moment. Frozen. Panicked. Caught. She knew. She knew we knew. She knew we all just watched it happen. She stood up out of her chair, walked calmly out of the frame like a woman heading to the bathroom in a restaurant, and pretended nothing at all had just occurred. Like we did not just watch her get busted red-handed inside the middle of her own lie. Like the entire internet had a collective memory malfunction and forgot the last 30 seconds. And here's the kicker. This is not the first time Chrisean Rock has behaved like this. This is not the second time. This is not the 10th time. This is a pattern. This is a rhythm. This is a woman who is doing anything, saying anything, faking anything, inventing anything to keep the algorithm chewing on her name for another 24-hour cycle. And I have to ask, and I want y'all to really, truly, honestly sit with this question and answer it in the comments. Who is still watching Chrisean Rock tonight? Who is still tuning into her lives? Who is still hitting refresh on her page and giving her the attention that is fueling this behavior? Because every eyeball on her is another log on the fire. And that fire is starting to burn a real, actual, living, breathing child. That baby needs stability. That baby needs a mother who is grounded. That baby needs his mama to log all the way off and go breathe for a season. A long season. A whole calendar year. Maybe two. Now, y'all know your girl does not like to leave a topic on a heavy note, so let me shift the temperature down just a couple of degrees before we cross over into what happened on the other side of this triangle. Because while Chrisean Rock was out here inventing birthday parties and answering imaginary phone calls, Blueface was over in another zip code entirely, minding half of his business inside of Jaidyn Alexis's house. And Blueface, I need every single one of you to understand who this man is at his core. Blueface is what I call a walking exposure device. Blueface does not think one thought before he acts. Blueface does not calculate consequences. Blueface does not run scenarios in his head. Blueface simply does the thing, and then he live streams the thing, and then the rest of the internet has to spend the next 48 hours cleaning up the fallout he created in 11 seconds. On this particular evening, Blueface decided out of nowhere that he wanted to scroll through his current partner's phone. And he decided to do it on live. In front of the camera. With the world watching. With no filter, no plan, no exit strategy, no lawyers standing by. And what Blueface found, what he pulled out of that hidden folder, I don't even know how to say it politely on this here Christian channel, y'all. Let me try my best. Inside Jaidyn Alexis's secret hidden photo folder, the folder that everybody keeps their private, personal, do not open, do not touch, absolutely under no circumstances content in, Blueface allegedly found a saved copy of Jaidyn Alexis's own private tape. The very same tape that has been circulating on the internet for years now. The very same tape that anybody with a working search bar can pull up in about 6 seconds flat. That same tape. Saved. In her private locked folder. On her personal phone. In the current pocket of the current jeans of the current woman. In the year of our Lord 2026. I did not stutter. I did not misspeak. Rewind me if you need to. That is what he said he found, and that is what got captured on the stream, and that is why the internet has been shaking on its axis ever since. Moving right along, honey, because I got questions. I got so many questions. I got questions stacked on top of questions stacked on top of questions. Why is that tape saved in your hidden folder, Jaidyn Alexis? Why, Jaidyn Alexis? Ma'am, why? What are you doing with it in there? Are you watching it? Are you studying it? Are you reviewing your own moves like game tape? Are you comparing it to something else? Are you sending it to somebody in your DMs? Are you keeping it around for old time's sake? Because if it is already on the whole entire public internet, if it is already free for the world to click on with 2 thumb taps, why do you personally need a copy locked away in the vault section of your phone at all times? That is screaming obsession. That is screaming a woman who has not, in fact, moved on from her past, no matter how many Instagram posts she puts up telling the internet that she has moved on. That is screaming. I don't know what that is screaming, but it ain't screaming healed. And listen, Jaidyn Alexis started crashing all the way out. She started scrambling. She started reaching. She started saying, well, everybody has stuff in their hidden folder. Everybody does. Everybody does. And Blueface, bless his messy, chaotic, unfiltered little heart, looked her dead in the face and said, no ma'am, not everybody has their partner's old private tape saved inside their hidden folder. Not everybody. That is not a universal human experience. That is a very specific choice you made, and now you got to live with the audit. And Jaidyn Alexis kept digging, kept talking, kept explaining, kept adding layers to the cake that nobody asked her to bake. And every single new explanation made the situation 10 times worse than the sentence before it. Somebody in the chat tried to defend her by typing, oh, I have screenshots of my man's stuff too in my phone. That's normal. Baby. Baby, hush. Sit down. Log off. Delete your account. That is not the flex you think it is. That is not the defense you think it is. Jaidyn Alexis grabbed onto that lifeline like it was a helicopter rope in the middle of the ocean, and then that helicopter turned around and crashed itself right into the side of a mountain. Fireball. Explosion. Total wreckage. And here is where I have to be honest with y'all. Because Jaidyn Alexis got emotional in that moment. Jaidyn Alexis got teary. She said, "You're exposing me right now. You're making me look weird in front of everybody." And I felt that. I felt it a little bit. I did. Because nobody wants their private phone content aired out in front of 500,000 viewers on a random Wednesday night. Nobody. Not you. Not me. Not the woman sitting next to you on the bus. But then I remembered, ma'am, respectfully, you personally agreed to let a whole grown man scroll through your phone on live television. You said yes. You handed over the device. You unlocked the screen. The exposure is a self-inflicted wound with your own fingerprints all over it. Blueface did not steal the phone. He did not hack the phone. He did not pickpocket you at a red light. He asked, and Jaidyn Alexis handed the phone over willingly, and now every last one of us is sitting on our couches staring at the aftermath together. Now hear me clear on this next part, because this next part is the one I need y'all to rewind 5 or 6 times if you have to. Because the argument that broke out between the two of them after the discovery, that argument is where the whole entire truth lives. Because Jaidyn Alexis started accusing Blueface of being the person who leaked her tape in the first place. And he said, hold on. I have the tape, sure. But Bravo also has the tape. Because Bravo shot the tape. Because Bravo was inside the tape. Everybody who was in the room that day has the tape. So the question, Jaidyn Alexis, is not who has the tape. The question is, why do you, Jaidyn Alexis, in this year, in this season of your life, in this current relationship, still have that tape sitting in your hidden folder like a keepsake, like a scrapbook, like a memento? That is the question. That is the whole entire question. That is the only question that matters. And Jaidyn Alexis has not answered that question. Jaidyn Alexis will never answer that question. Because there is no good answer to that question. There is no polite version of that answer. There is no PR spin that can spin its way out of that answer. And here's the kicker on top of the kicker on top of the kicker. Because while all of this was going down, while Blueface was exposing Jaidyn Alexis and Jaidyn Alexis was trying to spin, deflect, reroute, and rewrite, Jaidyn Alexis suddenly announced, out of nowhere, that she was not feeling well. Jaidyn Alexis said she thought she might be going into labor. Jaidyn Alexis said she needed to get to the hospital right now, immediately, this instant, no time to waste, grab the keys, start the car. And then, and I promise y'all on my grandmother's grave I am not making a single word of this up, the two of them, on their alleged emergency journey to the labor and delivery unit, decided to make a little pit stop at a Chick-fil-A drive-thru to pick up a sandwich and some waffle fries. Because as everybody in the medical community knows, when you are in active labor, the very first place your doctor tells you to stop is the Chick-fil-A. That is standard obstetric protocol. Get you a spicy chicken deluxe. Get you a large lemonade. Get you an 8-piece nugget with the Polynesian sauce. And then, and only then, you may proceed to the hospital. It's in the birthing manual. Chapter 3. Baby. Ma'am. Respectfully. You are not in labor. You are hungry. Those are two very, very different sensations, and I need you to learn how to tell them apart before this baby gets here for real. Because we've been said you was dropping. We've been said that belly was ready. We've been saying it for weeks now. But the delivery date on the paper says you got about 19 more days to go. 19. So either the calendar is wrong, or the labor was a distraction technique, or you were genuinely craving Chick-fil-A and used the hospital as an elaborate cover story to escape the fallout of the phone situation. Any one of those 3 options is possible inside the circus. All 3 of them are possible at the exact same time. Nothing is ruled out. Nothing is off the table. Let me pull the camera back for 1 second, y'all. Because I want us to sit together with the shape of what we just watched unfold. On one side of this triangle, you have Chrisean Rock, inventing a birthday party that does not exist, answering a phone call that does not exist, and pretending to co-parent with a man who does not know he is co-parenting. On the second side of the triangle, you have Jaidyn Alexis, sitting on top of her own private tape inside a hidden folder, letting a whole grown man scroll through her phone on live television, and then faking a labor scare to escape the aftermath of that scroll. And right in the middle of the triangle, completely oblivious, completely careless, completely detonating every single relationship he touches, you have the man himself, waking up every morning thinking today is another good day to open his mouth on the internet and see what falls out. Nobody in this triangle is winning tonight. Nobody in this triangle has a real strategy. Nobody in this triangle is thinking even one move ahead, let alone 2 or 3. And that is exactly why I keep saying, this is not entertainment anymore, family. This is a cry for help. This is 3 human beings trapped inside a machine that only rewards them when they self-destruct in public. And every single time we click, every single time we watch, every single time we drop a comment, the machine hands them another treat. And the machine whispers in their ear, do it again. Do it louder. Do it wilder. Do it faster. Do it messier. And they do. They do every single time. And that brings me back to Chrisean Rock. Because Chrisean Rock is the most extreme case in this whole picture. She is the person that I, genuinely, from the very bottom of my heart, am scared for tonight. Because the Shepard Pratt story is not just gossip anymore. The Shepard Pratt story is starting to make sense in a way that it did not make sense last year, or the year before, or the year before that. When you watch Chrisean Rock right now, in real time, on her lives, you are seeing somebody who is not fully present in the room with her own body. You are seeing somebody who is talking to people who aren't there. You are seeing somebody who is answering phones that aren't ringing. You are seeing somebody who is announcing plans that do not exist with people who never agreed to any of it. And I have heard the whispers. I have heard the allegations. Some folks are saying Chrisean Rock's own family sent her to that facility after something very serious allegedly happened involving a person by the name of May. And I am not going to sit here on my little channel and repeat what I do not know for certain. I am not going to be that girl. But I will say this, the whispers are getting louder. The receipts are getting thicker. The behavior on camera is starting to line up with the story on paper. And when the behavior lines up with the paper, that is when the story stops being a rumor and starts becoming a chapter. I do not want to be right about this, y'all. I want to be so wrong. I want to be completely, embarrassingly wrong. I want somebody to come flooding into these comments below and tell me, girl, you are reading this whole situation wrong. Chrisean Rock is fine. She is just being theatrical. She is playing a character for the algorithm. This is all a bit. I would love that. I would sleep so much better tonight if that turned out to be the truth of the situation. But every day that goes by, the character gets closer to the person, and the person gets further away from the ground. And that is not a joke to me. That is a real, human woman losing altitude in public. And in the middle of every last piece of this, the party fantasies, the phone call theater, the hidden folder discoveries, the Chick-fil-A labor detour, the Shepard Pratt whispers, the Blueface exposures, the endless carousel of lives. Is Chrisean Jr. that baby? That little, tiny human being. That is the person I am thinking about when I sit down to make these videos. That is who I want the internet to remember when the algorithm eventually moves on to the next scandal. Because when the clicks dry up, when the lives end, when the news cycle rotates, Chrisean Jr. is still going to be here. Chrisean Jr. is going to grow up. Chrisean Jr. is going to learn to read. Chrisean Jr. is going to type his own mother's name into a search bar one afternoon when he is old enough to be curious. And Chrisean Jr. is going to see every single one of these moments. Every faked phone call. Every invented party. Every argument. Every hidden folder. Every drive-through labor detour. And I want all 3 of them to sit with that. Because the internet has a memory that does not forgive and does not forget and does not delete and does not blur and does not soften. Now I know I said we were going to shift the temperature down, and instead I went and turned the whole oven up to 500 degrees. My apologies. That's what happens when you get your girl talking about babies who got caught up in grown people's messes. The heart takes over. The commentary voice steps aside. The mama in me steps forward. But let me pull us back into the light for a minute. Because there is a comedy layer inside the circus, and we would be doing ourselves a genuine disservice if we ignored it. Because at some point, family, you have to laugh. At some point, the absurdity of it all gets so absurd that the only appropriate human response is to laugh out loud in your living room. And the laugh is what keeps us sane through this endless tour of chaos. Think about it for 1 second with me. In one single 24-hour window on planet Earth, Chrisean Rock announced a party that does not exist. Blueface publicly denied a party he was allegedly co-hosting. She then faked a phone call on live television. Her real, actual phone rang directly through the middle of the fake call. He then walked into his current partner's house and pulled her own private tape out of her own hidden folder. Jaidyn Alexis then went into labor, allegedly, inside a Chick-fil-A drive-thru. All of that. In one day. In one 24-hour window. On one internet. Consumed simultaneously by millions of us all sitting on our various couches. If you wrote that sequence of events in a screenplay and turned it into Netflix, the studio would reject it. They would say it is unrealistic. They would say audiences would never believe it. They would say the notes are that the plot is too dense, the characters are too over the top, the twists are too many. And yet here we are. Living it. Watching it. Breathing it. Refreshing it. This circus is the greatest reality show on planet Earth, and I say that with a grimace on my face and a hand over my mouth. Slide me your verdict down in the comments below. Tell me who is cooking who tonight. Is our girl at the top the villain of the story? Is the singer with the phone the villain? Is the man in the middle the villain? Or are all three of them starring in the same slow-motion tragedy and the real villain is actually us, the audience, the ones who keep clicking, the ones who keep tuning in, the ones who keep the machine fed? I want to hear your real thoughts on this. Not the surface takes. Not the copy-paste takes. Not the takes you already saw 6 other channels post. I want the real ones. Type it all out. Take your time. I read every single one of them, and the sharpest ones I feature on the very next video. And speaking of the very next video, because you already know your girl never leaves you empty-handed, I got a whole other chapter of chaos waiting for you the second this one ends. There is a story brewing about Carlisa that is going to shake the block. There is a story brewing about Bravo that is going to break the internet in half. There is a story brewing about who was actually inside the room the night that fake phone call went down, and let me just tell you, the name is going to shock you. And I am not going to spoil a single word of it here. I am going to make you come all the way back for it. Because that is the deal we have with each other. I bring the tea, hot and fresh and unfiltered, and you bring the attention, and together we keep this little community of ours fed on truth. That is the arrangement. That is the covenant. That is how we do things over here on this side of the internet, and it has been working beautifully for a long, long time now. Before I let you go tonight, one more thing. And this one is not for the algorithm. This one is not for the clicks. This one is for the woman watching who is dealing with her own version of this circus inside her own life. Not on the internet. Not in front of cameras. Not with millions of witnesses. But in her own home. In her own group chat. With her own baby daddy. With her own hidden folder full of things she does not want anybody else to ever see. This message is for you tonight. You do not have to live inside the tent. You do not have to perform for the algorithm of your own life. You can walk away from the fire. You can put the phone down. You can raise your baby in the quiet. You can build a life that does not require an audience to feel valid. You do not have to be any one of these 3 people. You can just be you. In peace. With your babies. With your job. With your bills. With your Sunday dinner. And that is the most revolutionary, radical, quietly rebellious thing a woman can do in this year of our Lord 2026. That is the sermon for tonight, y'all. That is the spirit of truth. That is what your girl came here to deliver from her little kitchen table to your headphones. Take it. Sit with it. Leave it. Argue with it in the comments if you disagree. Come back to it in a week and see if you feel differently. I don't mind. I'm here for all of it. I'm built for all of it. The love, the hate, the debate. I welcome every drop of it. Tap that like button before you scroll away tonight. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, because it takes you 2 seconds, and it helps me hold my daughter down from a distance of 3 states. Share this video with the one friend who lives on the internet with you and consumes every drop of this tea beside you every single week. And roll right into the next one. I got another whole chapter of chaos waiting for you the second this video ends. I love y'all. I mean that. Every single one of you. Even the ones who came here just to hate on me tonight. Especially the ones who came here to hate because you just gave me another view, another minute of watch time, another data point in the algorithm's favor, another comment for the engagement metrics. So thank you. Truly. From my kitchen table to your headphones. Thank you. The circus keeps turning, family. The tent keeps burning. The animals keep running loose. The ringmaster keeps disappearing on us. But your girl is going to keep sitting right here, coffee in hand, notebook open, giving you the truth one alleged, entertainment purposes only chapter at a time. Because that is the promise. That is the mission. That is the whole entire point of this little corner we built together. And listen before I go, because I know some of y'all are still sitting here waiting for one more piece. Let me leave you with this. I have been doing this a long time now. I have covered Chrisean Rock through highs, through lows, through births, through breakups, through fights, through reunions, through everything the internet has thrown at her. I have covered Blueface from his prison sentences to his release parties to his exposure sprees. I have covered Jaidyn Alexis from the singing debut to the music video launches to the phone folder discovery we just walked through together. And in all of those years, in all of those chapters, I have never seen a stretch quite like the one we are living in right now. The intensity is different this time around. The desperation is different this time around. The stakes are so much higher than they have ever been before. And the biggest difference of all, the one nobody wants to say out loud, is that a real child is now old enough to start understanding what is happening around him. Chrisean Jr. is not a newborn anymore. He sees. He hears. He absorbs. And every choice these 3 adults make from this day forward is being logged inside a growing human mind that is going to carry it into adulthood. So when Chrisean Rock hops on a live to fake a phone call, she is not just performing for us. She is performing for a memory bank that will replay it back to her son one day. When Blueface pulls a phone out of a partner's hand and scrolls through the hidden folder on camera, he is not just entertaining the internet. He is teaching his children what a father does. When Jaidyn Alexis holds on to a private tape from a previous life inside a locked folder while carrying a new life inside her body, she is not just making a personal choice. She is making a choice her babies will eventually have to reckon with. That is the weight nobody is willing to carry inside this circus. And that is the weight I keep trying to place gently, one video at a time, on the table in front of them. Not to shame them. Not to cancel them. Just to remind them. Because here is the thing about attention, family. Attention feels like love when it hits you. Attention feels like validation, like proof that you exist, like proof that you matter, like proof that the world is watching. But attention is not love. Attention is actually the opposite of love in a whole lot of ways when you really sit and think about it, because love asks nothing of you and attention demands everything from you. Attention will drain a person all the way down to the studs and then move on to the next person the second you stop performing. And I watch these 3, one at a time, 1 week at a time, and I see 3 people who confused the 2 a long time ago and never got the correction they needed. And now they are living inside the consequences of that confusion in front of us, on live, every single day, without a break, without an off-season, without a soft landing pad in sight. That is the real story underneath the story of the birthday party and the phone call and the hidden folder and the drive-through labor. That is what is actually happening here. 3 adults are performing themselves into the ground for an audience that will not catch them when they fall. And the only people who can actually catch them, their families, their real friends, their real support systems, have mostly stepped back because the machine will not allow anybody in who is not also feeding the machine. It is a closed loop. It is a sealed system. And breaking out of it takes a courage that none of these 3 has shown any signs of finding yet. So when I say I am scared for Chrisean Rock, I mean it in the most sincere way I know how to mean anything. I am not scared of the drama. I am not scared of the next viral moment. I am scared of the day the drama runs out and the viral moments stop coming and she has to sit alone in a quiet room with herself and figure out who she is without the noise. That day is coming for every single one of them. And when it comes, I hope every one of them has somebody in the room with them who loves them without needing anything from them. That's it. That's the whole sermon. That's the whole tea. That's the whole entire episode wrapped up with a bow on top. Comment down below and tell me your take. Share this with the friend who was texting you about the phone call last night. Subscribe if you're new. Come back for the next one. Roll right into another chapter of chaos. I got you covered on the next video sitting right there on your screen. Your girl loves you. Your girl appreciates you. Your girl sees you sitting on that couch. Your girl will see you very, very soon. Peace.